Okay, good evening and welcome to Yeshiva YouTube. Iyun Tonight I want to discuss Mishnah Tat and Perek Dalet and Maseches Eiruvin over here. Mishnah Tat discusses the concept of Eretz Tchumen. Whenever you think you hear of Eretz Tchumen, right, you say, okay, I'm going to put 2 loaves of bread 2,000 amos away from the borders of my city, and I'm going to have another 2,000 amos to walk. That's Eretz Tchumen, putting bread over there. But in these previous couple of Mishnayos, Mishnah Tat, Mishnah Zayin, we talked about basically you're on the road, you have no food with you. So Mishnah Chet said you're ma'ariv where you are. You say, I want to be ma'ariv where I'm staying right now. Or if you see Mishnah Zion talks about if you see a tree or you see a fence, you just ma'ariv by saying, I want my shvisa, I want my residence on Shabbos to be by that tree or the fence, and it works. So Rameir says these previous Mishnayos are only b'di'evet. Really, the chadchila, you should be using bread. If you don't have bread, b'di'evet, they say like you're on the derech, you don't have bread, or you're a poor person, you can't afford 2 meals to put it somewhere far away from you. So then they allowed you to use your feet or your words to make your Eruv. Rabbi Yehuda says no. We hold like Rabbi Yehuda. The main type of Eruv is where your feet are, where you are. Your residence is where you are. Technically, you should have to go 2,000 amos, and a ben hashmashos on Shabbos be 2,000 amos away from the city to establish your residence there, in order on Shabbos to be able to walk and do 2,000 amos. He said they allowed bread. It's only a kula for an usher, for a rich person. He's able to afford someone. He has bread. He's able to afford someone to pay his servant or his butler to go put it 2,000 amos away. So he should be able to stay home and relax in his house before Shabbos and not have to go 2,000 amos out there. So it's a kula. What is machlokas Rameir and Yehuda? So I'd like to say like this. Machlokas fundamentally is what's considered the residence of a person on Shabbos. Where is he residing? Do you reside based on where you eat? According to Rameir, technically it's really supposed to be where you eat, where your food is. According to Rabbi Yehuda, we paskin like the ikar shvis of a person is where his feet are, or where you're going to sleep, right? There's a famous machlokas, in the poskim. A lot of times it comes up by Nero Shabbos, by Nero Chanukah, where you should light. Let's say you're eating in one place on Friday night and you're sleeping somewhere else. Very often, or Chanukah, Nero Chanukah also, you're eating in one place, you're sleeping somewhere else. Where do you light Shabbos candles? You light your Shabbos candles where you're eating or where you're sleeping. So I had this question come up many times. In my younger years, I tried to find an answer to this question. I remember I was in the Mir Yeshiva. I was like 21 years old, and I had just come from YU to the Mir Yeshiva. And I remember it was like 5 minutes before Shkia, and I remembered I was eating in one place and sleeping in another place. I didn't know where to light Nero Shabbos, because a man is supposed to light Nero Shabbos unless he's married, you're in your parents' house, your mother lights for you, or your wife lights for you. But I was a bacher. I was away from home in Eretz Yisrael. My parents live in America. So where should I light my Nero Shabbos? So I called Rabbi Yonatan Sachs 5 minutes before Shabbos. I remember my roommate, what are you doing? It's 5 minutes before Shabbos. How could you call? You can't call now. You can't call now. But I got on the phone. I got through Rabbi Yonatan Sachs. It was New York. It was in the morning of Friday. And he told me you should light in the Makom Achila. He said the Makom where you eat. And that's the way I held. And then eventually I transferred to Rabbi Yaakov Friedman to Shiva and Harnof it was at that point. And I asked him the same question. He said, no, we light in the room. You light in your room because you have the cheder ochel where you eat, and you have the place where you sleep. So he says, the ikar makom shvisa for a bacher is where that's his room. Where you eat is just a temporary place. But I said, you know what? Rabbi Sachs told me that you're supposed to light where you eat. So he said, because you got the psak, so really the halacha is like me. But if you want to be a machmer, you could also put one candle on the ledge over there in the dining room, and make the bracha there, and then go light there and light also in your room, because really the psak halacha is in your room. So based on this mishnah, the ikar shvisa of a person is his lina, like Rabbi Yehuda, passing Rabbi Yehuda over Rabbi Meir. Rabbi Yehuda says the place to the light, or the place of Tchumen over here, we're talking about. Your shvisa, where are you residing on Shabbos? That's where your feet are, where you're going to lie down. According to Rabbi Meir, it's where you're going to eat. Now, if that's true, so how do you explain other situations, right? And the Mishnah is Zayin and Ches. According to Rabbi Meir, it's always where you eat. So you don't have food. So how could you? Mishnah Zayin and Ches don't make sense. According to Rabbi Meir, obviously, he would agree if you don't have bread, if you're a poor person, you're on the road and you don't have bread, so then obviously, if you don't have bread, then in that case, the context tells you that your Makom Shvisa is where your feet are. So that would explain that. According to Rabbi Yehuda says really technically it's always where you're staying. But they said, that's a cooler, they said by a rich person, if he sends food 2,000 amos away, so we could treat that like his place, but only because he's putting a significant amount of food. We'll talk about the amount of food he has to put there. By putting a significant amount of food, Chazal said that a person could, through this action, basically renege on his Makom Shvisa where he is, and basically assign a new Makom Shvisa where he puts his bread. So even if you would hold technically that the Iker place is where you sleep, right? Apparently, if you put really important food, or you're eating a really chashuv meal in a different place, maybe that would impact the halacha. Maybe Yehuda would admit in that case that you could light Ner Shabbos or Ner Chanukah in the place where you eat. But technically, really, it's Makom Lina. It seems to be like this Mishnayos. I think Rabbi Yaakov Friedman was right. Hope you enjoyed tonight's shir. See you in the next one.